Ladies and gentlemen, I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we have show some love. You know, wargaming. Listen, show some love. So show some love to some certain tanks. Now we're only adding 3 tanks in this video because I could add loads, but I'm going to do like a little series, like a show some love series, where we look at tech tree tanks that could do with a bit of love. You know, either they've just been left behind, either they've just shit, or whether they are they just, you know, need buffing a little bit. But today we're really sort of looking at 3 tanks that do need a little bit of love. First up, we have the WZ-120, the Chinese tier 9 tank. Now, in all honesty, this is probably one of the worst tier 9 mediums in the game. Now, some people, of course, are going to disagree, but I just think there's too many negatives with the tank. I get that the alpha is quite nice. Yeah, of course, the alpha is nice on these medium tanks. I get that, but I just don't think there's much going for it apart from the alpha, and of course the turret's not too bad if you can get it in that position. But considering it has like no degrees of gun depression, it's very hard to use that because you can't really get on a ridge, and you really do suffer with this tank. And I think there's just too many medium tanks out there that are better than this, and there is literally no reason for me to play this tank. I might as well go and play all the other medium tanks in tier 9. So I do think it needs a bit of love, maybe a little bit more gun depression, maybe a little bit more maybe a bit more speed or a bit more DPM, you know, a couple more degrees gun depression and a couple more a bit more DPM. I think them two will be absolutely perfect for this tank. Moving on to tank number 2. Next up, we have the VK100. Now, this used to be one of the most strongest tanks in the entire game. Honestly, when this tank was first released, it was so strong. Mainly because of the armor profile. Now, the armor profile hasn't changed much since it was released. The only thing that's really changed is that hatch on top. But as soon as they weakened that hatch on top, honestly, it made the tank suck. And I definitely think it needs to change, considering it is kind of like a baby mouse. I think it's not strong at all. The side skirts are really weak. Of course the turret on top, the hatch on top is very weak, and of course it does have weak points as well. So as soon as you start angling that turret, then it does become super weak, and I think it does deserve to have a bit of love now. It's been a while, you know, it's considering it was one of the most, if you look back when this tank was first released, I actually done a top 5 strongest tanks in the game, or top 5 most OP tanks in the game, and this was there. This was in there. So yeah, it would probably be now one of my top 5 least OP tanks, especially in tier 8. So I do think it needs a bit of love. It hasn't been given a bit of love at all. It's only had love taken from it. So it is about time that we wargaming show this tank a little bit of love. Moving on to tank number 3. And it's the tank that's normally always in this list. It's the T28. Now, this thing is supposed to be super strong, considering the tanks that lead on from it. You know, you've got the T95 at the end, which is supposed to be this big block of steel, and then you get the T28. Now, bear in mind, I mean, albeit the armor profile isn't as bad. The armor profile isn't as bad on this tank as it once was. It's, you know, it has got better. The armor profile on the tank has got a lot better than it did in the past. But it's just, the gun is good. The gun is good. I just think it needs to be better. So yeah, sorry, the sound may have changed because I've just moved positions. I'm actually in my car. It's been a while since I've made a video in my car. Can you believe it? Normally I've upgraded to my office, my work office, but today, well, this part of the video, at least, we're in my car. I had to stop because someone disturbed me. So yeah, it's. But anyway, back to the T28. You know, I like the gun of the T28. I do like the gun, and when you play it correctly, the armor profile can work. But I just think it needs some oomph. You know, after all these years, I do think it needs some oomph. Now, one thing I do like about the tank, what Wargaming have done more recently with the tank, is, of course, add that special speed boost. You know, I do think the special speed boost is needed, especially on the whole line, really. You know, the T95, which we know is slow as hell, and that is the same with the T28. That is completely the same, and it's nice just to use it right at the start of the battle, just to get to where you need to be a little bit quicker. It doesn't help for long, but it does help just to get there a little bit quicker. Now, what I'm saying about when you use it correctly, the armor profile is okay. Now, I just stood still there for the elephant to be able to easily shoot me, and that's when your armor profile can really struggle. But when you sort of move like that, I mean, this chieftain doesn't seem like he's the best player anyway. But yeah, it's one of those that I just, it's boring. It's boring, and I do think it just needs a little bit more. And I think Wargaming should. I think Wargaming should just give it a little bit of love. Make it a bit more quicker. I don't know, maybe make it a bit more quicker, maybe that front armor a little bit better, because as soon as people switch to their APCR or their heat, their premium rounds, then they can just pen you all day long. And of course you do have them little hatches on top as well. So let me know what you think. Again, these are just free tanks. There's loads of tanks out there that I think Wargaming, especially when it comes to tech tree tanks, and these videos, I'm only going to look at tech tree tanks. I'm not going to look at premium tanks for now. Maybe that will come a bit later on, but for now we're only going to look at tech tree tanks, and tech tree tanks that I think Wargaming can just show a little bit of love to make them better. Now, I always say it about especially the lower tiers, not like tier 3s or tier 4s, like the tier 6s, the tier 7s, and the tier 8s. Wargaming should make some of these tanks at least worth playing and not just grind. You have some tanks out there, you know, like the Tiger 2 or the Waffle in tier 9. These tanks you play even though you've already got the next lot of tanks. Now, but a lot of these tech tree tanks you only play to grind, because other than once you get the tier 9 tank, there is no reason to play it at all. So Wargaming should make people want to play them even though they have already grinded the next line, and this is just 3 tanks of many. So next video, or not the next video, but next up we will do another 3 tanks where we may go down a few more tiers. So we may see, we're not going to really look at tier 10 because I think tier 10s are okay as they are, and there's not many tier 10s really that need a bit of love, but we'll have a look at some tier 7s, some tier 6s, and maybe another tier 8. So stay tuned, get subscribing, let's get me to 69,000 subscribers. But for now, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be back streaming tomorrow night, so get subscribing, tune in, and we'll see you then. But thanks for everything, thanks for all your support, I do really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm back tomorrow, see you then, bye bye.